receive love this way was interesting. It was an interesting journey, but God helped me with that. So let me go back here to say no judgment on anybody if things have happened, because I can hear those screams of people like, you have no idea. I was not, it wasn't my choice. Exactly. I didn't get a choice in being a virgin or not. So you shouldn't feel less than, because God sees you, and he's here to clean up your heart, and your story can be just awesome and amazing too. You know, that's how he does, and I love that we're all fitly joined together and helpers one another, and we can't find ourselves in that judgment position. I remember kind of feeling like uppity, like when I was in my 20s. I was like, I'm a virgin and I'm 25, don't do me. And it wasn't like I was being a virgin because for Christ. I think I was just rocking it because it was like my badge of honor, like, look, and I wasn't the best version, by the way. No, I wasn't.
Was you out here
still
swinging the bang?
I was swinging the bangs. I was swinging them bangs. I was switching them hips. Ooh. And going to church. How did that go together? God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry again. You know, because the truth is, girl, where are we? Anyway, this conversation. So, but acknowledging also that, why do people act like things that are, God built us and wired us to respond to touch, to respond to feeling. You're lying if anyone ever told you that it doesn't feel good to be touched and caressed. That's a lie. You were made to be touched and caressed.
The lie.
This body is wired to respond. Get the party jumping. It's just that God has a confinement for where he wants the party to happen. Yes. Because he don't want the party to be like, you know.
You don't want the party to be all over the place.
Don't have the party stop. You ever go somewhere and you're not supposed to be at that party, be like, oh my God, dang, and the police come break it up. That's not how the party's supposed to happen. The party and God's supposed to be like, what? We're going to do this next time? Because there's there's nothing hindering you. There's this freedom in Christ. But you were talking about earlier, it's an interesting conversation we were having about the virus that's going on right now. And I just kind of want you to talk a little bit, like, if you can repeat it that way, girl. Okay. About how the virus is spreading and how that relates to, like, some consequences to when you have sexual encounters that you are choosing to do. I'm not talking to those that it wasn't by choice, but you're choosing these behaviors and you're in Christ. What kind of things could you be exposed to, and what happens from that?
Yeah, so I was just sitting one day and just thinking to myself how this is a new virus that's on the scene. It's not really been heard of. It's not popular. And it's just like, whoa, this is being spread so fast. So many people are dying. We can't even go to the grocery store normal now. Now you see everybody walking around with the mask and wearing the gloves. And why that protection is important, you're still vulnerable to it, you know. Even with me going to clinicals and finishing up clinicals, even though I'm wearing my mask, that doesn't fully 100% protect me. This may be a little overkill for some, so I don't mean to over exaggerate it, but this is how my mind is processing it and thinking of something to compare it to. But just like when AIDS and HIV were new on the scene, and how it was only in a certain community of people, and how it was so quickly spreading rapid, not just with HIV, but like with any sexual transmitted diseases, you get exposed to, you have syphilis, you go to the doctor. What one thing does the doctor tell you? Well, who were your partners? I need to know your last 5 to 10 partners, and you need to contact them to let them know that you have exposed them to this, so they can come in and get tested, so they won't go spreading it. That's the same thing how, like, what the coronavirus is doing. So I'm a student nurse at the VA, and I had to be honest with my instructor at my clinical and let her know that, hey, I'm still at the VA. And even though how that news story just recently broke, I just wanted to let my clinical instructor know that I've been monitoring any symptoms that I might have, any sudden changes. I've been monitoring my temperature, but I just wanted to let you know right up in front that I'm just being honest with you and letting you know that even though I'm in that environment, I'm still monitoring close to myself. But it's just amazing how something that we take for granted and going out into our community, to the grocery stores, and how we're exposed to something, how not all of us thought to be so serious how it is now, how it's exploding and getting big. And like we were sharing earlier, I really wish that someone would come on the scene and just make a statement to the community, because not everybody has a medical background or have sat in the class to know exactly what a virus is. If you were to see the pictures of a virus in the textbook, you would be like, what? Mm-hmm. Because the way they're encapsulated, how their DNA duplicates and replicates in the body, that is why we have new flu shots every year, because the flu has multiplied and are transformed into something else. It's not the same like how it was the year before. That's why it's new influenza vaccine every year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's my mind jumping off.
No, and that's great, because it helps me to say, if we're willing to regulate who we're with, who we're around in the natural setting over a virus, why would we not do that, protecting our purity and our spirit man, guarding our hearts, because God does hopefully have somebody someday for you, but ultimately you're waiting on Christ, his return. He is the ultimate best, outside of ladies, if you're waiting for a husband or whatever. But why would we not take those same precautions, say, okay, wait a minute, who am I hanging around? Okay, what am I being exposed to? What am I letting in here? Okay, who have they been around? Who have they been kicking? And then you wonder why you have cuckoo when you leave somebody's house and you kicking. And you're like, what in the world? What's in job? Why do I feel like having sex now? Because you were just hanging around all them girls talking about sex for the last 5 hours.
Yes.
Then you went home like, oh my God, I need a shower. That's why. Because it's just like the spiritual world is just like that. Those spirits try to jump off on you, and you be.
And they do jump off on you.
They do, and
you have to watch the company that you keep.
Watch it. You gotta watch it, and oh my God, that just leads right into the scripture that the Lord given me in 2 Corinthians 5. Now I'm talking to us that are claiming Christ, okay? Because this Bible is our manual, basic instructions before leaving Earth. That's us, okay? That's us that are talking about we're ready. So we don't come with the unbeliever like, how come you abstain? How come you end up saying it? Because they're not believers. He's talking to us. Anyways, okay. So in 2 Corinthians, y'all, my dad's calling me. Anyway, okay. And it's the 5th chapter. I think it's 1 Corinthians actually. Okay. 1 Corinthians, I'm sorry, the 5th chapter. Paul's talking to this church about how they're handling their bodies. And in the 9th verse, he says, when I wrote to you before, I told you not to associate. Look at the Holy Ghost. Come on, snaps for the Holy Ghost.
The word.
Oh, the word.
Come on and lay it out. Lay it out.
Associate with people who indulge in sexual sin. Don't be hanging around them. But I wasn't talking about unbelievers who indulge in sexual sin or are greedy or cheat people or worship idols. You would have to leave this world to avoid people like that. I meant that you were not to associate with anyone who claims to be a believer, yet indulges in sexual sin, or is greedy, or worship idols, or is abusive, or is a drunkard, or cheats people. Do not even eat with such people. Wow. It isn't my responsibility to judge outsiders, but it is certainly your responsibility to judge those inside the church who are sinning. God will judge those on the outside, but as the scriptures say, you must remove the evil person from among you. So that doesn't mean that you come after whoever you see doing whatever. We're not judges. But what we do is say, I know that I can't surround myself with that because you're not my standard.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if I start kicking you, then I'll be like, oh, that's cool because she doesn't look like the Lord ain't struck her down yet, so I guess I'll get mine. And you be the one end up with STD. You be the one end up just somewhere sad. Because because we put someone else at that level of that it never was supposed to be. That's God's place to tell us. He's the judge. He's the standard. So just making sure you surround yourself with like-minded people, someone that's gone places, like my dear Kimberly today, who's not just focused, not sitting around just waiting for a husband.
No, but I had those moments. Like I said, I'm 30. So it's just like I'm looking at my girlfriends, I'm looking at my siblings. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm just about the only one that hasn't had a kid. I'm still single, you know. You know those books sometimes, especially in that the OB class of the child, you know, all about the infants and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, I know about the eggs.
Girl, them eggs. Girl, shut up.
I know about the eggs, but at the same time, what did I just say earlier about taking my hands off the pot and stepping out the kitchen and just watch? And that's what I told myself to do, and I have to really stick to it and trust that if that is the part of the book that God has written for me, then I am to put the ink pen down and step away from the table and let the man write. Just let him write.
I think that's a perfect place to end this. Let God write. Let him write your story. So for those of you that are like us and you're in the middle and just expecting God, I hope this encouraged you today. Hopefully you'll stay tuned next week. But I always have to leave you with this, your affirmation, which is, because of Christ. I think I'll just choose one today. Because of Christ, you are loved, and we are loved. And since we're loved, we know God has better and the best just for you. And don't look at anyone else. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. It's just yours. It's your destiny, your purpose, your promise. So we love you. God bless.